Hey, sports fans, it's Leah Eder with RunBlogRun. This is our program, Socialing the Distance. And this week we're featuring Leah Falland. And Leah is one of the new members of the OAC. Many of you will remember her. She ran 9:18. She was an NCAA and Big Ten mile champion. And Leah, welcome. Thank you for giving us some time today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Now, where are you right now?
I am in a parking lot in my van. I have a camper van.
Cool.
I just dropped lunch off to my husband at work, and I brought my puppy, our new puppy. We got her literally yesterday. Her name is Ozzy, and she's
Hi, Ozzy.
8 weeks old, and
wow.
She's a little teddy bear. I keep calling her a loaf of bread because she looks like a loaf of bread. But
now, are you guys in Boulder now? Or are you in Michigan, or where are you?
Currently, I'm in Michigan. So my husband's Australian. Lewis is Australian. And we're just waiting on some stuff to go through with immigration so that we can officially move out to Boulder. Our lease starts in October, so I'll be out there in the fall for sure training, but I don't know when he'll be able to be out there with me. So we're figuring it out.
Where do you live in Michigan?
Like the Grand Rapids area.
Oh, cool.
Specifically Eder, Michigan is where we're at.
Yeah, I know that area well. I have a place in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. So when I'm in San Jose, California now. Most of the time I'm in Fort Atkinson, and it's between Madison and I'm there when they have the snow and the cold weather because that's like my favorite time of the year.
Really?
Yeah, I go out and do as long as it's under minus 40. I have my big Russian coat and my hat and my glasses, and I go out and walk 6 miles. And I love the quiet and the stuff with it. And the cops drive by and ask me if I need a ride home. And I tell them, no, thank you, it's okay.
I chose this.
So tell us how you got into running.
How did I get into running? I feel like I've always been into running, almost. My mom and my dad both ran. My dad was a really good runner in high school, but he was also a dairy farmer, and so he never went to college. And growing up, he loved going on like 8-mile runs just for his health, and did like fun run 5Ks a lot. And my mom was a sprinter and a hurdler, and she ran at Macomb Community College for a bit. And that was something that my parents connected over when they first met. And then when I'm one of 6 kids, and I think my parents didn't really want to get babysitters when they go do these 5Ks. And so they'd throw us in the mile fun run, and I'd race my brothers. And I just knew early on that I really loved it, and I was talented at it. And I was also really bad at other sports. So to get my varsity letter, I just kind of decided to focus more on running. And so it just took off, and I earned a scholarship to go to Michigan State, and kind of the rest is history.
When did you know, let's see, in high school, you ran cross country and track?
Yep. So I didn't start cross country until my sophomore year of high school, because I thought for sure I was a sprinter. And I think everybody thinks they're a sprinter early on, honestly. Like, I didn't want to run anything over 200 meters. But I started cross country, and I did fairly well at that. And so I learned that I was indeed a mid-D distance runner. So, yeah.
In college, what events did you focus on?
The mile and steeplechase mostly. I ran the 5K a little bit. I did win Big Tens in cross country in my 5th year at MSU, but it took me a while to really get a handle on cross country. But yeah, at steeple, I tried steepling my freshman year my true freshman year when I was redshirted, and really liked it. And then kind of stuck with it. And that was the first event that I ever won an NCAA title in. And it gave me a lot of confidence. And then after that, I won the NCAA title in the mile and indoor. So, yeah.
What do you like about the steeplechase?
It's just so different, and it challenges you in a way that no other event that I've ever run on the track does. And the first time that I did it, I remember thinking in the middle of the race, like, I'm dying. Like I can't, I cannot lift my legs. Like this is so hard. And then I finished it and I recovered so quickly. And I realized how much of it was just strength. And then also just like mental fortitude, just being able to get to that place of pain and stick in it for a really long time. And it's very unique to the event. You're consistently getting thrown off of your groove, whereas in other events, you kind of get into a rhythm and it's, you're taking off laps. In steeplechase, you're jumping all the time and you have to jump over a water pit and you're bumping into girls. And it's just like, there's so much action in it. And so, it just challenged me in a new way. And I think because I have been running for so much of my life, it was just a fairly new challenge for me. So I loved it early on and I still love it. And I want to steeple again as soon as possible. COVID's kind of thrown a wrench in that, but yeah.
When in the group that you're in, you've got like three of the other women have run steeples as well?
Mm-hmm. Alicia and Emily are both steeplechasers.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has Dathan talked to you so far about training? Are you starting to do training right now? Or are you just kind of like in an off phase, or where does everything?
We trained pretty hard all through indoor track, and then we were gearing up to start getting ready to do steeple stuff right when COVID took off.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went obviously on lockdown and we were in quarantine. And so we backed off of that. And because it's such a physically demanding event and jumping over things is hard on your body, we've backed off of that. And we didn't train for steeple specifically this spring. But we did just get some, barely squeak by some races, one in Nashville and one in LA, and did like time trials and stuff. But we just did like 1500s and flat events. And then I got some downtime, which has been pretty nice. And I'm still just easing back into running. So hence the puppy and just being back at home and being able to, sort out everything before the move. So I'm on my downtime. But eventually this fall, in September, we're going to start building back up again and doing a lot more strength work and stuff and getting ready for a potential steeple.
What did you do at the Music City event? What event did you run?
I ran the 1500.
And how did that go?
It went well. I ran 4:11, which was
awesome.
It's right at my PR, but I haven't run it in years because of injury. So it was kind of cool to be able to go out and like run right at my PR for the first time running an event in so long. So it was a really good experience, and the race was really fast, and I really went for it and then kind of faded in the last 50 meters, but that's just, strength and getting that fitness, which another year will really help with. So, yeah.
Dathan put a nice note up about you on Instagram. He was very excited. And, I interviewed him a few weeks ago, which was the 12th interview I've done of Dathan. I've known him since he was 15. And
oh my gosh.
So it's been fun to watch him kind of develop. And I think he's really suited for the role. Now, has he coached you for a while?
Yep. He's coached me for a couple of years. I met him at a random community mile race in Grand Rapids. Mm-hmm. And I was really injured and struggling to get back up on my feet. And he he didn't corner me, but we started talking at the track, and he asked me a lot of questions about my health and how running was feeling. And I was just kind of like, man, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can keep doing this. I feel terrible. And Dathan is a fixer. He's really good at finding solutions to problems, and he immediately was just extending a helping hand. And at first I had a coach at the time, and so he wasn't trying to coach me. He just wanted to, give me resources like his PT guy and his chiropractor and some weightlifting techniques that he used and things that helped him when he struggled with injury. but then the more that I worked with him, I was in Grand Rapids quite a bit. I was just like, I really like the setup and I want you to coach me. And so I made that move to Grand Rapids, and I've been with him for 2 years. And the turnaround from where I was when I first met him to where I am now is it's almost unbelievable sometimes. Like I look back, I'm like, man, I was in a hole and I am not in a hole anymore. So yeah, he's a really good coach, and he's definitely, I can say, suited for his role.
What kind of injuries were you dealing with?
Oh, you name it. I was injury free all through college. And then it just seemed like, I think it was a little bit of overtraining combined with some issues with my thyroid, which went undiagnosed for a while. And I broke a couple bones in my feet, my tibia, my femur, my plantar ruptured. On top of that, like pretty bad depression, just really feeling like my body did not want me to run anymore and not understanding why. And so I think the best thing, Dathan's done a lot of great things for me, but the best thing that he did was help me make sense of that. Because I think if I had quit the sport then, I would have looked back with like maybe a little bit of anger, but a lot of confusion, just like not understanding what happened. So
that makes complete sense. Over the winter in February, you ran a 4:33 mile. That had been your first race in a while. How did that feel?
Oh, great. Yeah. I hadn't had a race that felt like that in so long, and it was just so encouraging, just to know like, oh, my fitness is coming back. Like I'm going to be able to do this, and you just put in so much work for so long and kind of keep your head down, and to have, that come together was really great.
I think the steeplechase was invented by a statist, because I coached it for a few years, and I would try to get my kids into a gentle race the first couple races, right, just to get the experience. And they all swore to me that I was making the hurdles bigger the last couple laps, or the barriers bigger. And I said, no, it's just the way your brain is working, And but steeplechasers tend to be very strong athletes. Do you have aspirations for other events? Do you want to see how you can do in the 5? Do you want to see how you can do in the 10? Do you want to do the do you want to go down and stay at the mile 1500? Where kind of are you looking?
Yeah, I definitely want to get my PRs down in the 5K and the 1500 and the mile. I think my 5K PR is pretty weak considering, and I know I can run faster in the 1500. It's just getting all the things, to come together on the right day and just having a little bit more strength. But yeah, I want to run faster. I've been itching to run faster, and I know that I can. And so I'm not, I am a steeplechaser, but I'm not confined to that one event. And I definitely want to see, what I can do in different areas on the track for sure.
So you've run 9:18, and that's a very, very good time. And it would get you into global races too. The steeplechase is one of the toughest events to make in the U.S. There are several women out there. It's actually quite exciting. I mean, it's the U.S. is one of the real players in the event. Is that where your main aspirations are? Are you going to stay focused on the steeple? Or are you going to kind of see where your running takes you, or where are you at right now?
I'm not 100% sure, because there's no way of knowing like how things are going to develop racing wise. I ran 9:18 at pre, and I had sort of a bum foot at the time, and I know like if I'm fit, I can definitely run faster in every single event. It's just a question of like how much faster can I go, and and it is steeple's definitely a really, really strong field of women. But one thing that I learned in 2016 is like, it's not over till it's over, and you don't really know where everybody's going to be at on that day. So you just kind of have to, I'm going to be racing my butt off and seeing how things progress. And then I'll make a decision when it gets closer to the trials, and considering where everyone else is at, you know, you just kind of have to give yourself the best shot on that day to make the team. And Steeple is the event, then that'll be what I do.
So. What was your coaching like in high school?
Pretty chill, which I really appreciated. My dad was one of the assistant coaches on the men's team. He didn't coach me. And I ran maybe 20-ish miles a week, and just didn't, our workouts were very not wild, and my long run was like maybe 8 miles. And I'm from a pretty small area, so the way I got fit was just racing into shape. So we just like do 3 or 4 events at a meet, and you do meets twice a week. So that's basically workouts, you know, you do Bosco sticks for lunch, and then show up at the track and run the 4x8 and run the mile or whatever, throw up your Bosco sticks, run the 4x4, you know. It was fun. And I think I really appreciate that was that way. That high school was just fun.
What was college like?
I loved college. It was a great experience. I had an amazing coach, Walt Drent at MSU. It was like another parent to me. And I say this all the time. My best friends are still the girls that I, you know, went through all 5 years with, 4 or 5 years with. And I didn't know it was college was, I mean, you know, nobody has, you know, a crystal ball. They don't know how their college career is going to go, but I genuinely was shocked when running started to take off the way that it did for me. My coach, Walt, was not. He knew, which, you know, I got to hand it to him. He pegged it early on. He's like, you are going to, you know, win Big Ten titles and do these things. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just trying to, you know, run a 30-mile week, you know? So he really inspired me and lit a fire under my butt to keep trying and reaching for more. And so, and to stay injury free, I mean, that's wild. Like looking back on that, to not have anything in those 5 years, no hiccups, and just be able to consistently train was huge. And yeah, it was just a great experience. I had a lot of fun.
So now you're a professional athlete. And what are you seeing right now are the biggest differences between being in a college program and being a professional athlete?
Yeah, so I've been pro for a while now, and at first I think the harder thing for me to grapple with was the idea that I didn't have a team anymore, because I trained by myself at first in 2016, and a lot more responsibility is put on your shoulders, especially when, you know, you do simple things like go to a meet. You know, you're not handed an itinerary anymore by your coach, and your hotel is not booked for you, and your travel isn't taken care of. And most of the time you're by yourself navigating airports and rental cars. And it's just kind of all that little stuff, I think, just rocks you a little bit when you're fresh out of college, and adds up. But I mean, there's also a lot of good parts to it as well. You know, there is more freedom, and your training is catered specifically to you, and your workout days are about you. And as a pro runner, I mean, it's the best job ever. It's so cool. Like you get to do what you love, and part of your job is recovering, which is like, you sit in Normatec boots and eat food and watch Netflix and then take a nap. Like, and it's like that, but that's literally part of your job description, is giving your body the recovery that it needs. And it's really hard. It's like, it's hard work, but it's just so it's it's concentrated hard work, if that
Okay.
makes sense. It's
Sure.
it's like
Yeah.
you do really, really, really hard work for a short amount of time during the day, and then you're just done
Yeah.
for a while, and then you wake up and you do it over and over again, and it takes a lot of sacrifice. So it's yeah, it's an entire lifestyle. Like it's not just you clock in and clock out. It's every hour of every day. You're basically thinking about what you need to do for your job. So,
Are you competitive?
yeah. Yeah, I gotta be.
Are you competitive outside of athletics? Are you competitive in everything you do? Are you competitive? Or do you, like some people, it seems to me, focus all their competition stuff on their racing.
Yeah.
And I remember as a coach, I coached women my last 6 years, and I had a couple pretty good women athletes, and what they were successful at doing was they kept everything else pretty relaxed, but when they raced, that's where they were. They could be buddies with the people they raced against any other time except when they were on the track, you know? And I was fascinated with the focus. And there are some people like Lorraine Mahler. I don't know if you know Lorraine. She's a bronze medalist in the marathon in the Olympics in, it was 90, it was in Korea. So it was 88. And she seems so mellow most of the time, and I run with her and stuff, but when we would play word games, she was brutal. She played not to win, but to decimate, you know? And you'd always joke about that. How do you deal with your competitive needs? Do you compete just on the track? Do you compete in everything, or are there selected things that you like to compete in?
I'd say I'm the third option. I'm pretty selective. When it comes to people like other runners, other women especially that I race against, I'm not out for blood unless, like you said, we're racing. And I resonate with like being friends with them and wanting to be supportive of them. And but yeah, I guess like most of the time, board games with my husband for sure. I never want him to win, or like playing cards or anything like that. And I guess in little ways, yes, I'm competitive. And I think that comes from being a part of a big family too. I'm like one of the middle kids in a big family. And so I'm competitive in subtle ways, but I'm also, I know when to just like shut it off and be chill. So, but yeah.
Who's the most, do you have an athlete who's competing now that you truly admire?
Oh yeah. Emma Coburn, for sure. I admire her.
And I think I recall you race. I was at the Prix that year, and I recall you racing in 18. I've missed 2 Prix in 30 years. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah. I've seen you there, and I've got to see. Do you? So this is the year 2000. Have you put a time limit on your career? We get to see you in 2028. We get to see you in 2024, or is it just kind of how things go?
Is. Yeah, it's just how things go. I like I said, you can't. There's no crystal ball, and you just don't know. And I just turned 28. So
congratulations!
Thanks, August 30th. So that's, I mean, a little older, and not old, but older. And I got married in May, and so thanks. It's weird growing up, but eventually I do want to have kids, and not anytime soon, but we'll just see how running is going. And as long as I love it and there's not like a ticking clock on me being able to have a baby, I'm just going to keep going. And not that you can't have a baby and come back, but it's, some people can and some people can't. And I don't know if I'm going to be one of those people. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see.
What do you, you're now moving to Boulder. You're part of the OAC, sponsored by On Athletics. I've known these guys for about 5 or 6 years. They're a good Swiss company. They're making good shoes. And what's really cool is they're investing in the sport. And Andrew Weeding, who you probably have chatted with, when Andrew was competing, he had one of the most awesome Instagram accounts, because he would put stuff up there that I'm just going, where did this come from? He'd have pictures of him as a kid and say something that's just so funny. And I would look forward to seeing his stuff all the time, you know? And more athletes, what brands are asking athletes to do is to have a social media presence. Are you comfortable having a social media presence?
Yeah, I've gotten more comfortable with it. It was difficult at first. I still don't understand TikTok.
Yeah.
Probably never will.
Yeah, that's okay.
But, I like Instagram. I like sharing pictures. I love taking pictures. And so that's pretty natural. And I'm not very strategic about it, and maybe I should be a little bit more, but I just kind of I just share what's going on in my life. I'm not really good at, I wouldn't say advertising myself, but I like it. I think it's fun, and if used correctly can be a really powerful tool to inspire and encourage people. And I'm okay with it. I'm learning how to, navigate it.
You had mentioned that when you were at Michigan, those relationships that you made with your fellow athletes, those are some of your deepest friendships now. Are you looking forward to training with the women in the OAC? Yeah,
I am. And we just had a month all together in Colorado for the launch of the team. And we had an Airbnb, and it was so fun. They did a really good job of blending our personalities. And I've known Emily Oren already for a couple of years, because she's also trained with Dathan, and she's from the Grand Rapids area, from Holland. So we were already good friends. I lived with her and her sister Molly, and love Emily. And so I wasn't nervous about that. But you never know when you meet new people.
Oh, sure,
But everybody's so fun, and we're all different in the right ways, And I know we're gonna be close. There's no doubt. You spend that much time with people, running with them, you have deeper conversations than you'd ever think you'd have with a person, and it doesn't force a friendship, but it definitely fosters it. And we're on our way. So yeah, I already love training with them.
When you train with the group, there are days when Dathan will say, well, this is a hard day, and this is a more relaxed day, a recovery day. Are you able to, if you're feeling really good and you've had a great session, can you come back the next day and really relax and do the recovery?
Yeah, I can now. That took, I don't know, that takes discipline. It seems counterintuitive. Okay, if you ran hard, it seems like you'd want to slow down the next day, but it's almost like when you have a really good workout or a really good race, you feel so good about that, and you feel kind of on a roll, and you want to just keep smashing every single day. And you think that if you just keep burning the candle on both ends, you just get fitter and fitter and fitter, and you learn really fast. I learned pretty fast. That doesn't work out very well. So no, if I feel, I run on feel, and if I feel crappy, I slow down. It's there's no sense in fighting your body, and your body's always going to win. So I've learned that.
Is there a workout that Dathan gives you that when you do it, you know, hey, I'm ready to go out and race?
Yeah, there are a few.
Do you have a
There,
favorite?
I have a favorite. Probably like breakdowns, like K breakdowns, or like 800s and 300s. I think those are usually pretty good. Something that with a little bit more distance to it that challenges you in that way, and then speed where you can go off and pop off like a sub 30 200, and just feel really really fast. And yeah, and when he gives you a workout where you're exhausted, but at the end he like makes you get up and run fast and do speed, and you can still deliver on that because you're just so strong that even though like you're seeing double and you're a little woozy and feel exhausted, your body can just go. And like that's so fun. And it's the hardest work we do for sure, but you get off the track and you're like, okay, I know my body's going to adapt to this and I'm going to be even stronger. And I'm ready to get into some races. So yeah.
Is there a workout that you absolutely despise, but you know that really is good for you?
Oh yeah, I've never liked tempos, like long tempo runs.
Okay.
Oh man, oh man. And it's great though because Alicia Ensign is she loves that stuff. Like she loves the long grinds. Whereas if I could just rip 200s all day, I probably would.
Okay.
So just training with her for the month that I did in Boulder already, I was like, oh, this is going to be really nice because I can just like cling onto her. And, we've already done some like tempo work with her leading that, has surprised me, especially at altitude. I was like, what did we just do? Yeah. I think I get in my own head a lot with that stuff. So, yeah, I wouldn't choose it, but it's definitely a necessary evil.
What is, so we're down to 4 minutes. You've survived 36 whole minutes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't think I hope it hasn't been that painful.
No.
So we've got a couple more questions to go. What was, if you had one race to tell us about that described your potential, what race would that be?
Describe my potential. I hesitate to say this because it seems like the obvious answer, and maybe it is, but the mile, when I won the mile indoor at MSU, I think that was just such a combination of hard work and then also just grit, like my ability to make my mind up about something and get into a race and be really aggressive and take the lead and not be afraid of what anybody else is doing and just run what I know I can run. And yeah, I haven't been chasing that feeling at all. It was just but I did walk away feeling like, okay, like I'm a lot tougher than I even thought. Like I knew that there was a lot of fitness there. But to get on a stage like that and just be able to execute, like I was very proud of myself for that. And I think it set me up well for a professional career, all of those seasons and just having like those big key races like that. Just knowing that I can get into a race with anyone and run with grit and guts and, just go for it. So
cool. So we're down to a minute. I wanted to thank you for your time. You're the first one we've done an interview with while you were in your camper van. So you're unique as well. And your little doggie is just very cute, just kind of zoning out there.
She's gone, sleeping.
Right. Leah, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to meeting you in person. at a meet perhaps next spring. Good luck with the OAC. Enjoy your time with Dathan. And moving is always a challenge. I moved from the Midwest to the West Coast, and that's always fun. I almost moved to Boulder years ago, but did not. Actually was going to go to school there for my MFA, because there's I have a degree in painting, and there was a really good painter at the University of Colorado at the time. But out here. But thank you again. And so this is Eder with RunBlogRun, Socialing the Distance. We featured Leah Falland. And Leah, thank you again. Enjoy your new puppy, and good luck with your move.
Thank you.
Hey, sports fans, Leah Eder with RunBlogRun. This is, of course, Socialing the Distance. It's your new favorite program in the world of social media. And our featured athlete today was Leah Falland. You may have known as Leah O'Connor when she was at Michigan State, NCAA champion, Big Ten champion in the mile, 9:18.85 steeple PB from 2018, NCAA cross country team captain when the team championship. But she is now Leah Falland, and she is running for the OAC, which is the new club that On Running is doing, and it's coached by Dathan Ritzenheim. And Leah has been coached by Dathan the last couple of years. She's from Michigan, and in college she was coached by the iconic Walt Drenth, one of my favorite human beings. I don't think I have ever heard anything but warmness and kindness about Walt Drenth. He's a class act. I hope to meet him someday. I think I met him at a meet years ago, maybe with Joe Piane, at one of the Palo Alto Stanford distance carnivals. But he's coaching Des Linden now, and he just sounds like a real delight. And I want to. He's one of those people I got on my list to speak to and talk to and do an interview with down the road. So sorry, I've digressed. But Leah was a lot of fun today. We have little categories of when we do interviews. Like Christian Taylor did our first interview driving at 60 miles an hour across Austria in a German sports car. So he got that category. And now we have sitting in a camper wagon in Michigan with a new puppy. So Leah did all that. But it was a great conversation. And the folks at Let's Run, Jonathan Galt, when he did, and Jonathan's one of my favorite writers, and I do check Let's Run every couple of days. I think they have really good stuff, and they love the sport. And that, to me, is the biggest thing of all. There's just so few people out there who are battling day and night to tell the story about the sport. And it's tough to run it as a business, to support our sport right now, especially in these crazy economic times. So hats off to them. But Jonathan, when he wrote about Leah, he said that the issues were she's had some injuries, and it sounds like she's had a ton of them. And that's how she got in touch with Dathan a few years ago. She was at a mile, she thinks in Grand Rapids, where they started chatting. And she was just like going, do I stay with running? Do I not stay with running? And she described Dathan as a fixer, someone who wants to make things better, which is part of what a coach needs to do. And Dathan was able to help her put stuff together and able to help her get past her injuries and be able to train. The biggest thing for an athlete is when you're in an injury cycle, an injury time, you can't put healthy training together, and you get despondent. It's difficult. This last winter, after a bit of training, Leah ran a 4:33 mile. She said that felt really good. It was nice to run fast. And then at the Music City recently, she ran a 4:11.8, just 1/10 of a second off her personal best. And she was kind of shocked by it. She'd had a month training with Emily Oren, Alicia Konitzik, Alicia Munson, and when I asked her what her favorite workouts were, she likes to do repeats and, a bunch of 200s and 400s and 1K breakdowns and stuff, but she really despises tempo work. And Alicia Munson likes that stuff. So they work together. And when you've got training partners that one likes one thing, one likes another, it's kind of cool. I mean, I had that in college with Paul Dre. Paul liked to do the long grinds, and so we kind of switch out leading and stuff, and that made it much easier for both of us. But when you've got a nice group of 4 or 5 athletes working together, sharing the load, I think that makes a big difference, and it allows you to focus on the task at hand. And what's exciting about Leah Falland is that you can see the enthusiasm. She's also a big part of the reason why Alicia Munson went to work with Dathan, because Alicia told me yesterday that when she asked Leah about Dathan, Leah said, I don't know if I want to be coached by anybody else. I really like Dathan. And that's a great compliment to a relatively new coach. But Dathan has the enthusiasm. He has the experience of being an athlete. He has had the experience of being with 4 fantastic coaches. And he has what John Parker and Once a Runner called the trials of miles and the miles of trials. And I overuse that, but it's true. Having that experience changes your life. Athletics is something that many of us can do at different levels for all of our life, but we get an appreciation for the great performances. And I think this group with the OAC, Emily Oren, Alicia Konisiak, Alicia Munson, and Leah Falland have some great races in front of them. I haven't talked to the guys yet. I will down, but I think they're a good group. Leah was fun to interview today. She's very thoughtful. She's been in running her entire life. Her dad was a farmer, and he ran. I run 8-mile runs and road races, and mom was a sprinter, and she did road races too, and the kids did mile stuff, so they had it around them. And they were, living on a farm, one of 6 kids. You kind of grow up with a very physical lifestyle. The steeplechase is one of the most demanding events in all of athletics. Like the pole vault in the field events, I believe the steeplechase and the 400 intermediate hurdles require the most physically from an athlete. If you can do the steeplechase, you can run a 1,500, you can run a 5,000, hell, you can run 10,000. I had friends who would do the 10 on Friday and the steeple on Saturday. And, a little bit of work, but it's a strength issue. Don't do that at home, please. Only when you're going to win the NCAA. But the issue for Leah is keeping herself healthy. We talked about, can you control yourself enough when you have a hard day and you're zipping along? Can you keep those easy days easy? Because you've got to. That was one of the biggest lessons that a coach can instill in their athletes. I remember Kenny Moore talking about Bill Bowerman making him, after having a hard day, told him he could only have 30 minutes of running on his easy days. And if he did anything more than that, he would kick him off the team. Some athletes you have to do that with. You have to be very, very specific. Dathan understands that coaching is both science and art. And the challenging thing for a new coach is convincing the athletes that your program works, but also getting them to do the things when you're not standing there watching them. It's very easy. No, it's not easy, but it's much less difficult when you're there watching 1K repeats. But the next day, when they're supposed to do an easy 45 minutes, and they go out and bang out an hour, they're not going to recover for the following day. So how do you communicate that to them? And young people don't think about those things. It's only when you've got a few injuries behind you that you start thinking about, hey, this hard, easy thing actually really works. So it's going to be interesting to see what Leah can do. I think that she will get back on the steeple train, and I think she can do very well. That 411 suggests that she's got some wheels. I think she can probably go 405, 406. And with she can get her strength all back. A 15-minute 5K is well within reach, as is a 9:05, 9:10 steeple. She's not that far off from it. What I recall about her barrier technique was pretty darn good. One of the things about the American women is that they do have good technique. In my day, most of the guys didn't even practice. I mean, I remember Colin Reed's an 8:13 steepler telling me, yeah, I'd probably be pretty good if I would go over the hurdles. And then you get the other, and Mark Rowland, the coach up at Nike, Oregon. Mark hired an intermediate hurdle coach to help him figure out the hurdle stuff, which really helped him. Guy ran, 8:08, 3:51 mile. It kind of helped in there. So technical things, which is something Americans have shortcomings on. Dathan understands that to win, you've got to do all that other work behind, and to do well. And the cool thing about what On Running is doing, they've given Dathan the opportunity to show what he's learned over, 30 years in sport, which is pretty cool. So, Leah Falland, thank you very much. Your puppy was very cute. Thank you for your time. Hope your hubby gets all his paperwork done. He's Australian and like Australians. And they're going to move to Boulder. And we hope to see Leah and Emily and Alicia and Alicia at some races in the spring. Everybody, please stay safe. Yeah, this is a pandemic. It's not a make-believe thing. It's not a communist plot. Wear your mask anytime you're inside. Wash your hands 20 seconds at a time. Please be careful and know that you may not get sick, but you could get someone else sick. And that's key too. This is a time we've got to care for our fellow person. I don't care what your religious beliefs are or even if you have them, but be kind to fellow humans, okay? So, Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is Socialing the Distance. This is the epilogue. We featured Leah Falland today, formerly Leah O'Connor, which you can look up on RunBlogRun and the Shoe Addicts and see some interviews we did with her back then when she was Leah O'Connor. So it's kind of cool. And really enjoyed talking to the women in the OAC the last day and a half. They're really enthusiastic and optimistic, and it's really cool to see that in this time I needed a little optimism. So Larry Eder thanking Mike Deering for, Mike's been thinking that I was going to end this thing about 4 minutes ago, but I continue to talk and the hands are going. The hands are thanks to Father Passarelli, who was my freshman cross-country coach at DeSmet, and he spoke with his hands all the time. He was also a mean street basketball player. I remember us trying to take him on in basketball, and this man took us out. He knew how to do it. He could throw you on the other side of a court, and he was this real delightful little guy. But boy, I'll tell you, he got our respect as freshman in high school. Anyway, Larry Eder, RunBlogRun, Socialing the Distance. We featured Leah Falland today. Thank you, Leah, for your time. Thank you, Andrew Weeding, for setting them all up. Thank you, Dathan, for coaching them and giving me the opportunity to wax poetically about all your stuff. And thank you, Mike Deering, for managing Socialing the Distance, producing Socialing the Distance, and keeping me laughing. Talk to you soon. Bye now.